Okay, we're going to look at the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity anatomy. And I want to look at the microanatomy, the main parts of it. Okay. So I'm going to do it in sort of a weird way. It's going to seem kind of strange. Okay, so if we start here with the trachea. So the trachea comes down, right? Trachea is that tube. It's surrounded by hyaline cartilage rings, all that. And then it goes down into bronchi. Bronchi are also surrounded by hyaline cartilage rings. It's, it keeps the tubes open. And then it goes into the bronchioles, which have muscle. Okay, so bronchioles, the trachea, and the bronchi. And ultimately, at the bottom of the bronchioles, we get to the alveoli. Just make that this color here. So I'm just going to make a big giant alveoli. All right. So we know, this is the lung. I know it looks weird, but the lung is in the thoracic cavity. So let's make a thoracic cavity. So we got the trachea that bifurcates and goes in there. I'm going to make a big thing here. Whoops, that's a terrible. Here's your thoracic cavity. So here are the sides of the thoracic cavity, and at the bottom of the thoracic cavity is the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that divides the thoracic cavity, the upper part of your torso, the thoracic from the abdominal cavity. So what's above it is what we're looking at as the thoracic cavity. Okay. So another thing you should keep in mind and know, use this, is that the thoracic cavity is lined with membranes, right? So we have the parietal pleura and the visceral pleura. So we know that the parietal pleura is the membrane that lines the cavity wall. So the cavity wall here, and just kind of go around. Sorry, it doesn't really go out, but I'm having trouble staying in here. So this is the parietal pleura. And then the visceral pleura goes around the lung itself, and it's attached to the lung. And we know that this membrane is continuous. Okay, so here's the visceral, and it's continuous with the parietal. Okay, you don't have to lift, when I make this drawing here, I don't have to lift up my pencil. Okay, so we know that this thing here is the parietal pleura, and this one is the visceral pleura. And of course, there is a space here, and this is the intrapleural space. Okay, so this space has fluid in it, right? Okay, it's serous fluid in here. So it's got fluid. So serous fluid is here. And there is also a pressure that is exerted on these two walls, these two the pleural walls, the visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. There's a pressure there, and that's called intrapleural pressure. Intrapleural pressure. Okay. In the alveoli, or in the lung, there is also a pressure. So the pressure exerted on these walls is called intrapulmonary pressure. You can also call it alveolar pressure. All right, so we're going to look at those pressures because the pressure inside the lung reacts with the pressure outside of the lung, so in the atmosphere, and that difference in pressure is really what allows you to breathe. Okay, so next we're going to talk about some gas laws that will help us understand how this works and how pulmonary ventilation occurs. So let's go talk about gas laws.